And a good Monday evening, live from Catamount Jaxe, just across from the Western Carolina campus. Welcome into Catamount Football Weekly from the Catamount Sports Network. I'm your host, Daniel Hooker, joined by the old ball coach, Kerwin Bell. And again, a busy show scheduled for you tonight. We'll go from the gridiron. We'll finish up on the hardwood. Again, coming off the bye week for Western Carolina football. We'll look at the men's basketball, women's basketball. We'll have Jonathan Tsipis from the women's team, Tim Kraft from our men's team before we're done here in this hour, plus all your comments on our Facebook Live. Glad to have you tuned in as the Catamounts come off their bye week. Look ahead to Chattanooga, a top 3 matchup in the Southern Conference coming up this weekend over in the Scenic City, homecoming over at UTC. Looking forward to making the trip, seeing our good friends in Chattanooga, and looking forward to a good football game coming up. Of course, live tonight from Catamount Jaxe, they present our Catamount Football Weekly each and every week, and also Catamount Coaches Show coming up at the bottom half of the hour. Of course, all of these brought to you by Stanberry Insurance, online at Stanberry-ins.com. 4 locations across the Western North Carolina region, again, serving the Southeast for 45 years. We'll talk about Sylva, Waynesville, Highlands, and, of course, Clyde, the 4 locations for Stanberry Insurance. So glad to have you tuned in. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them in. We know one of the big ones will be, what's the health of the team coming in after last week's bye week? We'll get to that before we're all said and done. We'll jump in here with Western Carolina head coach Kerwin Bell. And, Coach, obviously a bye week, an opportunity to get away from football a little bit for some people. We know for the Bell family, it's not getting away from football. All you did was make the trip up to Pitt to watch the Panthers and the Wolfpack. So you got away from football a little bit. Did Cade give you any pointers for how to go through the rest of this year, or was he a little busy, preoccupied with the pack?
Nah, but when you're around him, all you do is talk football.
Yeah.
He is. That's what my wife was talking about coming back. We were coming back today. She says he's consumed about football.
Well,
I said, yeah. Every conversation is about the game. So, but yeah, we hadn't, I don't think, been together, Hook, as a family for a year and a half, 2 years, because Cade and you know, my old middle son Colton's down in Jacksonville,
yep.
was a lawyer there, and then Kinsley's up in Boston. So we got them all. Everybody flew in there and spent a couple of days there this weekend, and went to the game, had a great game, and so it was good to see everybody. See my 2 little grandkids, Palmer, who's 4 years, about to be 4,
wow.
And Beckett. Little boy who's going to be a man. He's a big guy, so he's only about 6-7 months old, I think, right now. So it was good to see everybody. It's good to get away. You know, I told our team I wanted everybody just to get away and re-energize themselves, get their focus back when we get back this week, and just be eager to play football, man. And I know I'm hungry. I was telling our coaching staff, man, let's go out there tonight. We got a night practice tonight. Let's go out there and be hungry, because we've been away from it. Our players have been away from it. Let's get back into this thing and be ready to go play really good football and have great intensity, great energy, and have a great week of practice, and then take that to Saturday's game at 4 o'clock and go play our best game of the year.
I know we got practice coming up, as you mentioned, 7 o'clock. Of course, we'll try to get you out to that. But we all know pregame. We all know pregame stretch. Coach doesn't care about that. He just wants to get right into it and go for it. But you got to give the guys time to stretch. You got to give our strength and conditioning count. They do such a great job with that, getting our guys ready. But, hey, do want to say hello to Jim Bullins from down in Myrtle Beach. We say hello to Margaret Sprinkle down in Davidson. Matt Cook down in Southwest Florida tuned in. Also heard from Jerry Love down in Fayetteville, Georgia. A bunch of folks. Feel free to drop us a note if you have any questions here as we go throughout our broadcast tonight as we talk Catamount football. Catamount's looking forward to going across the mountain to take on the Chattanooga Mocs this weekend. And Coach, we talked about our bye week coming in, and we find a way to kind of get away from football. Of course, you know, when you talk about Cade eating, drinking, and living everything football, it comes by naturally. I mean, I know his mom and dad, they both pretty much love football and everything about it. But what was the focus of the team on the practice field? You know, you talked about getting in, getting some work done, and then getting some time off to rest, to recuperate, to heal, to kind of get mentally right for this stretch run. What did you accomplish during the couple of days that you had with practice before you gave them a couple of days off?
Well, I think nowadays, you know, I think every season comes with different reasons or different things you need to do, accomplish during the off week. For us, it's all those little things that turn into big things, right? And there's a lot of little things we had to go back over and make sure our coaches were really hard on these guys and really coached them up. Make sure we corrected those mistakes. But my whole deal, again, was to go back and get this team fresh. I felt like we was a little bit, that last week of practice before Citadel, our guys are drained mentally and physically. I just felt that. And I'm all about feel, man, as a head coach. And I just felt like, because of that, let's get them away as much as we can. We let them go Friday, get their classes in. Then they had Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, and then we're coming back today. Monday they went to class, but no football until Monday tonight. So about 4 good days that they can really I want them to get away, not watch football if they don't want to. Just get away and just really clear their minds, get the energy back, get that passion back, and let's finish these last 4 games the way we need to finish them, and that's all, with wins and playing our best game of the year.
Well, so many coaches talk about going back to fundamentals and going back to the basics, very far back to basics. How much did you go back to basics, or how much was it? Again, you mentioned last week you're going to try to put in some of that Chattanooga Scout Week, some of that game plan last week, to where this week's more of a refresher than anything else.
Well, we had a segment, good on good, because we wanted to continue to work on the little things, get better as a football team at almost game speed. Not many plays, though, just a really abbreviated segment where we went down the field against the number 1 offense, number 1 defense, and then vice versa, 2 versus 2s. But other than that, then, we installed our game plan like it was a natural week. I told our coaches, hey, treat it like we got them this Saturday. We're ready to go play. And they put together the whole game plan. We've introduced it already Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday last week. And now we're going to repeat it this week. So we should be ready to go. We should have a lot of energy. We should be excited. I think we're going to get a lot of players back that's going to help us. And so this is the perfect time for us. These 4 games are going to be big-time games, and we got to go play our very best. And all we can do right now is be 1-0 this week against Chattanooga, which is always a good football team.
Yeah, you talk about the timing of the bye week. Obviously, coming off of a row where I feel like for 3 or 4 weeks in a row we said this is going to be the most physical game we play this year. This is going to be the most physical team we square off against, and I think that's going to be the case for the next 4 weeks coming up, that we've got to be able to go out and play, especially with the stakes where they are right now. Only 2 unbeaten teams in the Southern Conference, us and the Mercer Bears. You got a Chattanooga team that's playing probably their best football of the year. You talk about Chattanooga, coach. Let's go ahead and turn the page to them and kind of talk about the Mocs a little bit. They got a team that, again, they got off to a rough start, 1-4 overall. Now they were playing some really good teams.
Yeah.
So they were talking about Tarleton State on the road. You're talking about playing Tennessee Tech, a team that's probably going to win the OVC. Memphis, they got a loss to the Citadel. We're seeing some of the highlights here. This might have been one of the more surprising losses, but at the same time, I felt like this right here was the turning point for this Mocs team this year.
Yeah, it sort of woke them up, man. And they, like you say, the Rusty, man, he lost a lot of players, like we all did. But I mean, they really lost a lot. And you could see, they were trying to figure it out early on. They had a really tough schedule. But, man, after this Citadel game, last 3 weeks, they've really come out and really got better and better every week. They're playing their best football right now. They're always a tough out, man. You got to go down there and play 60 minutes of football. It's going to be no different. We got to go down there and be physical as a football team. And you got to play good football, take care of the football, protect it, and to come out there with a win. So that's our goal, is to go down there and play the best game of the year for us. And I think if we do that, we got a chance to come out there with a win.
You talk about that 1-4 start with that loss to the Citadel, 3 straight wins. One of those we saw some highlights from was the comeback against ETSU. And now this is a matchup. You talk about a team that's 500 overall on the year, but 3-1 in conference play. Well, we're 4-0 in conference play, just behind the Mercer Bears, who we have the following week for our homecoming. How do you keep the guys from looking ahead to Mercer, understanding that Chattanooga's record overall 4-4, not impressive in terms of what you might think of normal with Chattanooga, but 3-1, that's right behind us in the standings. So this is still a matchup for the top half of the league.
Well, that's one of the things I loved about the schedule was that it's not a no-name team. It's Chat, man. Chat has always been a dogfight for us. It's always went down to the last quarter, last few minutes of the game. They're always one of the most dominant as far as athletically football teams, especially the line of scrimmage. Their O-line, D-line's always been one of the best in the leagues. So I loved that they were right before Mercer because we get that open week. Now let's go play 2 of the best teams, but they ain't going to look ahead because they know how good Chat is. I guarantee we won't have anybody looking ahead to Mercer because we know this is going to be the big one. Here on the road, we got to go 1-0 this week. We got to play our best game of the year to come out there with a win.
Again, drop us any comments or questions you have here in the chat here on our Facebook Live. Also welcome those watching in on our YouTube channel, our Catamount Football Weekly, presented by Stanberry Insurance, here live on location at the Social House at Catamount Jaxe. Axe throwing in the back, alcohol in the front. You come visit them next time you come to Cullowhee. Hope you'll stop by on homecoming weekend, looking for a big week of activities leading up to that after we go to Chattanooga. So not this week. We'll talk about that more next week. But you mentioned, we talked about this 3-game win streak. They're a team averaging, 40-plus points per game, almost 38 points per game during this winning streak. Their offense is averaging 430-plus yards of offense. They're doing it in a multifaceted way. A really good ground game. Talk about the Citadel having the number 1 ground game in the conference. Yep. Chattanooga right now right behind them in overall offense in terms of on the ground. What are they looking? You're talking about balance. This is a team that's kind of found that balance right now.
Well, they're one of the most balanced offenses in our league. If you watch them, they can run the football. They're back. I think he's leading the conference. Is he still leading in rushing? And their quarterback's from Bowling Green and got some experience. And
Gainesville, Florida guy.
Gainesville, Florida guy.
Yeah.
Got a lot of size, man. He can throw it. So they've got good balance on offense. And then defensively, like I said, you can see them just started getting better and better as the season's progressed. Played against some really good teams, which got them, I think, going against those good teams got them better. And so we got our work cut out for us, and this will be a big game for us because they are so balanced on offense. Our defenses, they'll be stressed and put in some tough situations. But we got to go out there and make sure we can stop the run. That'll be the number one concern is make sure we can get after them and stop the run game. If we can do that, then we got a chance to be competitive.
You talk about 5 different backs with multiple running touchdowns on the year. 4 of those by their quarterback, as you mentioned. Again, coming in there, Justice Durant and Ryan Ingram, 2 of the top backs in the league. That's just the 2 top on the stat sheet. They've got 4 or 5 that they'll run through the course of the game, and a quarterback that also likes to get out and run at times. Again, that's been a trouble we've had this year is with the quarterback run, but trying to fit things up. Thought we had fit things a lot better up until the last time out where we had a little bit of trouble with that. Again, the Citadel brings you so many different options, literally and figuratively, when it comes to what they do offensively. But, defensively, what's been the focus last week and now moving forward to this week?
Well, we threw out last week. We didn't even watch the film. I gave them off Sunday because for us defensively, it was just a throwaway game, really. We did enough to win. But with them running the triple, and then they add the quarterback who's a pure runner, that both of their quarterbacks were.
Right.
It puts you in a different defense, different fits for our defense, not what we're used to. So let's throw that one out. Let's go back to the Furman game, the Wofford game. I mean, we gave up 7, we gave up 21. I think the game before that we gave up 24. So. That's the kind of defense we got to get back to playing. Get us a good spread offense, which is what we run a lot. They run it. Mercer runs it. So the rest of the years they'll be just going against the off defenses that we're getting, that we sort of developed our defense to go stop.
Right.
And so I think, we'll throw that one out, the Citadel game out. We just got to get back now to playing the way they were 2 weeks before we went to the Citadel.
Yeah, again, learning lessons from that game, obviously. But don't tell the Citadel Bulldogs, don't tell Mo that he can't throw the football. They had a couple of big passes against Furman this past weekend. Yeah, little sneaks out of the backfield. They've done so much with formations too, and they did.
Yeah,
they did some
good
more
at that stuff, man. He does a good job.
He did some more tricky
his
stuff.
Personnel.
Clay Hendricks and them had to deal with some of that this past weekend. Of course, Furman got the win over the Bulldogs, but I tell you, that's a squad of the Citadel that continues to get better and better. And they threw the ball pretty well a couple of times. But it's not a sustained pass. It's more of a we'll hit you here and there to keep you honest type of pass. But, again, we'll see more of that sustained passing this weekend as we head over the road. Did have a question coming in. Lane McGregor asked the questions about special teams. How do you feel about your special teams so far this year? And you talk about it. You lose Christian Lowry early in the year. You've had Marcus Trout, your freshman, has stepped up, made some big field goals for you. And talking about field goals, how many times have it come down to a close ball game, 2 or 3 point ball game with Chattanooga, where special teams could be huge? I think for the most part, got to be pretty pleased with again, double duty for Stephen Brantley. He's been punting and kicking off. But your overall thoughts on your special teams?
Well, Coach Webb, I've coached with him for 12, 13 years, and he demands perfection. He demands you play 100 miles an hour. If not, you're not going to play. He's going to sit you down. And so he's had to go through sort of figuring out who he wanted. He's sit some guys. He's added some guys. He's added some scout team guys. Man, if they want to play and they want to go down and give you great effort, he's going to play those guys. So that we've now, I think, got the people we want there, and it's starting to show, just like last week with the fake punt, and we're getting great field position on our punt returns, our kickoff returns. We're setting the table a little bit for us as far as our field position with that. So I'm really pleased with the way we're going down and covering really good on our kickoff team. So I think he's starting to put the puzzles in the right place. And then, what I'm so proud of is Steven, like you said, was just supposed to be a punter. Now because of Christian's injury, he had to go to kicking off. He had never done it much, but he's done a great job.
Yeah.
He's got a great leg of pinning them back, giving us great field position on kickoffs. And then, Marcus coming in as a freshman, man, it's been great as a field goal kicker. So we've had to make some crucial changes there. And, man, them guys have come through in a big way and been very successful for us.
And you got to give Emmett Rhodes a little tip
Emmett's,
of the cap as well.
Oh, man, Emmett,
you
deep snapper. Great snapper.
You got to give that guy credit, too, obviously, because it doesn't happen. And I remember Richard McCullum, who I got to see, he was actually at the Citadel game, talked about, without that guy, which his guy was Colby Cross, he goes, without that guy, with the guy holding, my job doesn't matter because the ball ain't there. So those guys all working in concert together on our PATs and field goals. But, hey, say hello to Brian Rubin and say hello to Jeff Betros listening in, checking all the Drew Wysharski. We'll say hello to Bob Folsom. Bob, we got your injury update. We'll come up with that here in a little bit. I know the Sanez family. Aaron not here tonight. Aaron's been backing us up and working an internship all semester long, but he's got practice tonight. He's trying to get back. And might as well go and start talking about some of the injuries there, Coach. Some guys you might see to get back. And I think Aaron might be one of those that might work his way back in from a knee injury. Brett Gray along the offensive line. How's your offensive line looking with those two and anyone else?
Yeah, we feel good about everybody except those two, and they could be back this week for sure, probably by Mercer. But we wanted to hold them this open week, and so they've had 2 weeks now. Didn't play them the week before, and now we've got a chance to get both of those guys in our top tier as far as if not starters, good backups. But most time they've both been starters for us. So
this year
that's two good guys to add to what we're sort of putting together right now. That's been a big key for us offensively is our offensive line. Coach BK has done a great job of just working those guys, demanding perfection. They have went out there and got better and better every game. And if they continue to do that, then they give us a chance on offense with Tiger to be really special. But those two are going to add a lot. The two running backs, people don't realize, Branson Adams, who had a big-time year for us last year, has been out with an MCL. He's back this week. We'll get him back. And then Kamari Reed, who's had some great games early, a 4-touchdown game, I believe. He had a high ankle sprain, and he's a little bit, might be the next week. Like I say, Branson will be back this week. Kamari about to be another week, or he might get back this week. We'll see. Yeah. So we're starting to get everybody back. Oh, another one, Terzado, who we have brought in here to come in and really take the place of Colombo. He's been banged up and hurt. He's going to get his first action this week, coming off a broken shoulder, and it's healed up. And, man, we're going to get him back. He's electrifying at that wide position, which is where, when he had those injuries, James Tyre stepped in and just hadn't missed a beat, man. He's put up Colombo-type numbers. Yeah. And so he's been a big, big find for us this year. But now he don't have to play the whole game. We can bring in, Marcus Striggles. We can also bring in now Jalen Terzado.
And Striggles missed the last game with a lower leg injury.
He had a little bit of injury, so now we got Terzado to really help in there too. So we should be almost at full strength on offense. And then defensively, the one big one was Hayward. Mm-hmm. Got hurt the first quarter. I thought really hurt us last week.
One of the first plays.
One of the first plays, about second play of the game. Had a tackle for loss the first play. And then got hurt. A little bit of a turf toe, but not serious. And so we hope to get him back this week also.
Might be the most inappropriately named injury in all of athletics, turf toe. It makes it sound like, oh, wow, you got a little turf toe problem. If you've ever had it,
it hurts.
My goodness, it might be the worst thing. I almost would rather have a broken bone than have that going on. But you look at it, again, so hoping to get Hayward McQueen back. Now, what he does is kind of that quarterback in the middle of that defense. And I think he and Jordan Thompson have been playing extremely well together. I thought Ryan McKinnis really stepped up. But, again, it hurts your depth a little bit. When you have McKinnis coming in as a backup, now he's in there more of a starter-type role with Hayward out. Getting him back will be key as well. And, of course, Gino Junius, we missed last game.
Gino, that's
you mentioned Gino being one of those guys in that run game that could be really big.
He can. And going against a team like this, Gino's will be big time for us. He sort of alternates with Ken, who, Ken's not a real big guy. So Gino comes in there. He can really fit you up as far as the run game and tackle really well. He's a tackling machine. He got a concussion, so he was out the last couple of weeks, but he's back. He's going to be ready to go for us. So that's another one we're going to get back before this game.
So you look forward to that. Again, a big game. We know that. But how do you keep it from getting bigger than it already is? We already know it's going to be 4-0 versus 3-1. It's Western Carolina, Chattanooga. We've had the upper hand as of late here. And I can remember years ago that this was kind of a matchup at times over the years where both teams had been struggling. Both teams were at the bottom of the conference. This was a game to see who was not going to finish last in the conference. But now it's one of those that who's going to finish in the top third, who's going to be in that top half of this conference. But how do you keep it with the guys to stay focused and know that it is 1-0 this week and how big – it's a huge game. Our fan base knows how big it is. Got a bus of students going over. We hope to have a lot of fans make the trip over to the Scenic City. Beautiful location. A lot of Catamounts already there, former Catamount employees. Ashley Aletto's over there. Ryan Jones is over there. We got so many players or so many former athletic department staff that are there. But how do you keep it from getting bigger than it already is?
Well, it's a big game, man. If you're any kind of athlete, you want to play under that kind of pressure. I tell them, you love that, man. You love playing in those games that mean a lot, and everything's on the line. You don't put pressure on yourself, man. You just go have fun. Play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Get prepared this week to go play your best game, and you'll do that. And so, I keep reminding them, Hook, man, 18 to 22 years ago, their mom and daddy had a little boy, and that little boy grew up, and he's here to die. Them guys, 120 guys in our locker, in that room, all are here to do something that's never been done in the history of Western Carolina football, and that's to win a championship. We've put ourselves in a position now, Hook. We've won 5 in a row. We're sitting here with an open week. We're sitting here now getting ready to play 4 great football teams, and we got to go win them all. And that's our mindset, win them one at a time, be 1-0 this week. But you've put yourself in this position. Let's don't waste that. And I know our kids won't. They're excited. They understand how special of a moment this is. They understand that there's a lot of kids that could have been in this position, but they are the ones that are here. And let's go make the most of it and put our team and our university in the best position to go win a football game.
For sure. We say hello to Sherry Davenport, ask Fast Eddie, dropping us a note as well. And somebody did ask a question about A.J. Colombo and wanting to give a shout to all of the wide receivers and the job that they've done in our offense this year. And Colombo has been more of that little guy coach on the sideline. I think I've seen him do as much coaching as sometimes he and Magruder working hand in hand. I joked with Magruder. I said, man, he makes your job easier when he's over here coaching up the guys. And those guys all look to him as well, knowing. But, again, he could possibly get back. He could get that red shirt still. I don't know. He's still working on coming back. But hard to find a room for him with all the talent that you have in the wide receiver room, running back room, and only one football. How do you balance that?
Well, Colombo, he'll play when he comes back. He's got one more year since he got hurt, so he'll have that injury year next year. And, man, he's almost back 100%. That little joker works his butt off in his rehab and stuff. And, I could see him. He might play. He could play 4 games actually this year and still kind of have another year. So I think he's pushing to do that, and maybe if we make the playoffs, be there because that don't count. I can see him getting that opportunity, But right now, like you say, we are after last season. I think we had lost 5 guys in the last 6 months, year, to FBS programs, and so we've had a lot of work to go out and find the guys that fit our system, fit what we were looking for. Listen, we got a big conviction on the kind of receivers. We're not just going to bring you in because you look pretty and you can run fast. You got to do some things that we believe is valuable for us. And we try to fit that within our system. And because of that, I think we got a lot of guys who can go produce for us. And so we're really pleased with the portal guys. Dominique's been just an unbelievable player for us.
In multifacets.
Return game, receiver. Man, Painter is he's a pro, man. He is just a pro, makes a lot of good catches for us. And then that freshman class came in, and really solidified. Trey played early. We're trying to redshirt him, but he's going to be unbelievable. I mean, he's a 10-5 100-meter guy.
First catch was a touchdown.
Yeah,
that's
first catch, touchdown.
Pretty good production there.
Back in week 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Week 3. MJ's going to be a star. I mean, MJ is, I believe, as good as anybody we got. He is so smooth, got great hands, big for his size, for a freshman. Khalil Sterling, man, he's going to be good. We're going to probably redshirt him. Richard Hollis. I mean, we've went out and got some really good guys that we think is going to be really good players. So, and then you brought back those other guys like Malik and all them guys who James has been a big surprise for us, James Tyre. But it's gave us a lot of options for Tiger to go out, and that's what he's good at, finding guys all over the field, distributing the ball to the guy who's open. And when you have 5 guys that can go catch 46 out of 46, That ain't bad, counting the tight ends and the running backs. So we've been really blessed with the kind of talent we got on that side of the ball, and now we got the first 3 games we didn't have sort of the guy the guy who can pull the trigger, but now we do, and he's having a great year.
Again, here at live at Catamount Jaxe, home of Catamount Football Weekly, each and every Monday night throughout football season. Hoping to continue this thing all the way through the holiday season. We want to keep rolling. Got to take care of our own business on the field to do that, obviously. But again, special thanks to Catamount Jaxe for all that they do in helping get us on the air and all the stuff they do here for us. And of course, each and every week brought to you by Stanberry Insurance. 4 locations across western North Carolina, Silva, Waynesville, Highlands, and the new location over in Clyde. Visit them online at stanberry-ins.com. And of course, they'll cover anything, any insurance you want. Give them a chance. Give them an opportunity to give you a quote on that. But, Coach, you're looking forward. What's when you start talking, you're in front of the whiteboard talking to your guys here, points of emphasis with this Chattanooga game coming up, because this is a huge game just because it gets even bigger. Of course, their win over ETSU, they come from behind win in the fourth quarter where they made a huge rally in that rail rivalry matchup. Then the win last week against Sanford has made this game a little bigger. Beginning of the year when you start a 1-4 start and against very, very tough opponents, 2 nationally ranked and an FBS thrown in. The Citadel loss, we talked about it being one that was kind of like, well, kind of an eye-opener for everybody across the league. But since then, I think it opened up the eyes in the Scenic City more than it did anywhere else. But what are the things you're really concerned about? What are the things we have to do to be successful against this very good Chattanooga squad?
Well, I've talked to our defense. We, like I said, we throwing that Citadel out. We went back the last 3 weeks before that. We had played really sound football, made people earn it. They scored some points here or there, like everybody does now in college football. But we was making people earn it. And that, if we can do that Saturday, just make them earn it, because they'll get a few plays. They're a very talented football team. But we have got a lot of athletes on that side of the ball that can go make plays. I'm starting to see them do that, sort of like they did late last year, making plays, getting more interceptions, getting more hands on the ball, creating some fumbles. So now we got to put that together for a 4-game stretch here. We got to play good championship football on defense. And that don't mean shutouts. It just means you make it hard on the offense. And we got to make it hard on Chat this Saturday. One of the big keys to do that is we got to make them one-dimensional, right? They are so balanced. We got to try to take one of those away, hopefully the run game, and go from there. And then offensively, we got to be balanced. They're a kind of team that if they just get you in one mode, then they're going to be really tough. But I feel like if we can block, our offensive line continues to get better. If we can keep protecting Tiger, because I love what's happening, Hook. If you notice, more Tigers played, people are respecting him so much. Our run game's starting to really balance up.
Yeah.
We had 300-something yards one game, a couple games ago. That's where we got to get to. We can't depend so much on Tiger. We got to have something to help him out, and that run game's really starting to show.
And it's kind of the run game. You look at the numbers, and you're like, wow, they don't look like you've run for a lot. Chattanooga's the same way. There's nobody that's got 100 yards rushing on average per game. But when you got 4 or 5 guys that are averaging 50 to 60 to 70 yards per game, that all mounts up. That all adds up. And that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
I really feel like it's where we are because we've had different guys step up. You talk about Pat Boyd, 142 yards in a game earlier this year. You talk about Josh Perry went for over 100 yards minus losses, ended up with 90 total. So guys that have knocked on the door. So, again, it's one of those,
had 90-something
exactly.
last game.
Markel Townsend. So we've had guys that have been doing it just in different places, and so again, you're not able to concentrate on one or the other. And again, close ball games with Chattanooga. Honor for Wilmoth brings that up, that we've had some really close ball games.
My 3,
probably 8, 9 combined points in the last 3 or something along those lines.
It's been crazy. I remember down there, which is 2 years ago, they score with I don't know what
inside a minute 20.
Yeah.
And then forgot about A.J.
Colombo, 3 in a row, and set up a field goal, and Richards automatic. So we come out there with a win. I know Rusty, man. They don't come play their best. We gotta because we have won 3 close ones. So we got to go play our best to come out there with a win.
I don't know, Catamount fans might have a little chip on the shoulder that we were not mentioned in the selection show a year ago. Nothing against anybody. We didn't do our job to get mentioned on the show. But Chattanooga got mentioned over top of us, and we thought that was a little, I personally took that as, wow.
I wish I wouldn't have heard that, because it makes me feel different, that they were first 4 out.
Yeah.
I wish they wouldn't even told us that.
Right. But I mean, just because we beat them head-to-head and we finished higher than they did in the standings, nothing against anybody, nothing ill will, just one of those motivational factors in the back of our mind, I think, for some people to move forward, because it is an opportunity now. Because what that would have done for our program, again, I don't know if it's better to be not included on the show or be one of those last 4 out that were the last 4 that were not included, because it is that you're that much closer. But again, it just shows where we're coming from, where we've come as a program, where we're building to as a program. It's what I looked at it as, at least in terms of how I saw that play out. But this is a perennial power in our conference the last handful of years, over the last probably decade plus, that they've been a team. They've been one of the teams to beat. And now, to knock the guy, what Ric Flair always said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And they right now have been top of the mountain, them and Mercer. So we got them back-to-back weeks. But, Coach, we know you got to get across to practice. I don't want you to miss team stretch.
I know it.
You got to get out there and start that right here on Monday and get them going from start. And tell them, everybody here in Catamount Nation,
when I was a high school coach, we didn't even stretch.
Well, yeah.
I told our kids, I said, you know what? Think about this. Does a racehorse, you watch the Kentucky Derby, did they stretch them horses?
Probably. Somewhere. Somebody
They just
does.
sort of jog down to the starting gate. They get in the starting gate, and they fire it off, and them jokers run, come out there.
Well,
so it's a waste of time.
I don't want anybody else on the sidelines with hamstring.
But
I tell you
the way
what,
cut players are today, you better stretch them, or they will pull every hamstring. They'll pull everything if you don't stretch them. So we got to stretch them.
Coach Bates does an amazing job with pregame stretch, so we'll let you get over there.
I tell him sometimes it's too long, but he.
Well, maybe I should keep you over here a little longer than to give him extra time over there.
Nah, I let him handle it, because I don't want to deal with my players. I want to make sure they don't get injured. So
all right, Coach,
I'll let him handle that.
Well, wish you the best of luck again. Chattanooga this weekend. Again, coming off the bye week. We've had some success after the bye week under Kerwin Bell here at Western Carolina, trying to continue that. But a tough task at hand. Chattanooga this weekend. Again, a 4 o'clock kickoff, a later in the day kickoff coming up over in the Scenic City at Finley Stadium. Coach, we'll let you get to practice. We'll continue with more on the other side of this timeout. We'll switch from the gridiron to the hardwood. Basketball season right around the corner as we close in on November. We'll talk about basketball, women's and men's, coming up on the other side of this quick timeout. Back to Catamount Jaxe as our Catamount Football Weekly and Catamount Coaches Show doubleheader continues right after this.
So, you gonna play this week?
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 You gonna play this week? You gonna play this week?
You gonna play this week?
You gonna play this week?
And welcome to the Ingalls Game of the Week as the War Horses square off against the rival.
He's going in.
He's going in. Go, baby!
Ingalls. We're with you every step of the way.
Welcome back into Catamount Jaxe here just across from the Western Carolina campus, across from the Ramsey Center. Again, axe throwing in the back. We've got the social house here in the front. Make sure you make your plans to stop by and visit our good friends here. Tell them we sent you. Tell them we told you to come by and see them here at Catamount Jaxe next time you come to Cullowhee to watch the Catamounts play, which could be as early as Wednesday. We've got basketball action. The men's team hosting Brevard College coming up on Wednesday. Exhibition action. It will be a free admission for night for that. We appreciate all those who have had the season tickets. You get your seats that you come in for that one as well. Kind of a bonus for you. Looking forward to that. And, of course, we'll have women's basketball at home first part of November. Coach, the season keeps getting earlier and earlier. I keep joking that we're going to say, Happy Labor Day, start basketball, the way the seasons keep going here.
Well, it feels funny that we're probably one of the later starting programs on Thursday, November 6th, when you could open on the 3rd. So it does. It pushes back, the old days of official practice starting on October 15th are out the window, and we started a couple days later since we don't open till Thursday, but it gives you time to really have a true approach to your season. Obviously, we had our young people here this summer, and then got them back in August and added Joyce Malumba at that point. But excited, I've had a scrimmage, got to see a little bit with the lights on, as well as the inter squad at basketball on the boundary. But excited. And anxious at the same time.
Yeah, I feel lucky. I got to see Night in the Wee. I got to see basketball on the boundary. Then I got to sit in on the closed scrimmage. That's always one of those things that, closed door scrimmages, not everybody gets to see. So it's probably the closer thing to seeing an actual game than the other two, because you're going to have everybody playing on the same side as opposed to the inter-squad scrimmages and the exhibition stuff that you do. But let's talk and kind of back up here and talk about year two. And seems like things might be a little better in terms of not having to find out where your clothes are, moving into a house and getting your family here, stuff along those lines. But there's still a lot of new here in year two.
No question. It obviously the most important thing is that my wife's here and our family's back together, and we're empty nesters as of August 18th.
Wow.
So at this point, I think she's kind of getting tired of seeing me. I joke that she kind of liked that a little bit, time away from me. But now it's the season, so she sees me the normal amount, which is not much. But no question. You have, of our 6-person staff, 5 of our 6 are back, and the one person that left was a chance to go back to her alma mater that Danielle Roush got to do. But we have 4 returners. That's 4 more than we had the year before. But to incorporate 9 newcomers, I think we understand what we're doing on a daily basis. I think that the teaching is without question, it takes so much of our time. And again, we're very fortunate. We have a group that I think works hard. We ask for patience, I think from both ourselves as well as as Catamount Nation, but excited to just, a little bit of everything. You know where you're traveling to. You understand how the breaks work with fall break. Even last year with having the, we didn't go to school for 3 straight weeks, and we're looking back at notes, and we're practicing at 10:30 and not after school, and having those things. It definitely was an advantage last year. Not saying that we ever want that to happen again. But I think in year 2, you're hoping you can continue to have that basis that we tried to, build from our culture, from our fundamental standpoint into year 2, but some more of that being player-led.
You talk about your 4 returners. You got some experience, but you also have some folks that have battled through some injuries. We'll talk about the 4 returners. You talk about, Kande Abasui, who's going to be a great coach. I tell you what, watching her on the sidelines during some of the exhibition and the scrimmages. And you got Grace Pack, who's been fighting through injury. I was really impressed with Kennedy Hilsenroth, what she did in basketball on the boundary. And, of course, you mentioned Taj Hunter coming in as a second-year player. So you get a look at the 4 returners. And those are the 4 faces everybody's going to recognize. What are you looking for out of those 4 individuals and trying to get better to carry you here into year 2?
Well, I think the first thing in practice, just every day of being in that model of what we expect. And, unfortunately, we've had some injuries, but I'm excited that everybody's getting a lot closer to where we need to have them. Deuce with the ball in her hands as a point guard, obviously only played in the first 8 games last year. Grace Pack brings that 3 years of experience to the program, with all new post players besides Kennedy. And I think Taj's role has to change this year for us to be, a team that improves. She got to have that understudy role, behind, really active wings like a Tyja Beans or a Chelsea Wooten and obviously A.C. Carter. So, you expect all 4 of those to do things on the court, but even when they haven't been able to be on the court, which has been situations with Grace as she's come back this summer off her knee, and the same with Deuce is the being able to help our younger players, when they're out of a drill, when practice is over, those type of things. That's really important.
Talk about 9 newcomers coming in, and among those, let's see. I'm gonna have to read this to make sure I get it all right. 5 freshmen, a redshirt sophomore, a couple of junior transfers, and a grad transfer. Did I get it all right?
You did. You did.
So let's start at the 5 freshmen here. You got one from Liberty, North Carolina, Tina Bowers, went to Western Alamance, which was not where I went, but I'm from Liberty, North Carolina, so I'm trying to figure out if I know the Bowers family, way it shakes out. But talk about Tina Bowers, Ellie Richardson, Riley Price, Ellie and Justice Zimmerman coming in. Talk about those 5 freshmen and mentality of trying to build for the future while also not sacrificing the here and now, meaning you don't want to put 5 freshmen on the floor every night if you can help it in the Southern Conference and with our schedule, which we'll talk about. But you got the freshmen to build upon. What do these 5 bring to the table?
Well, I think the great part, we had all 5 of them here this summer, and so that learning curve, from how we do our strength and conditioning, which, Cody Jones does a fantastic job, to be able to have those, 4 hours a week that we could work with them, not only as a group but also individually, get them up to speed, what it's like to take a class in college. And I think, two of the big areas that we wanted to address in recruiting in high school players was the need to have really good players from North Carolina understand what we're building and that winning attitude. Tina Bowers is somebody who won a state championship last year at Western Alamance, was named most outstanding player in the state tournament. Ellie Fines comes from a traditional powerhouse in Providence Day. And then you have Justice Zimmerman, who I think, went to 2 high schools so she could play at a better program basketball-wise at, North Carolina, the charter school in North Carolina, good, better, best, and then went to North Carolina School of the Arts. And so asking, those young women how they represent us, and obviously Riley Price, just has an unbelievable background as a post player. Father was an NFL player, still coaches the defensive line at Virginia Tech. Her mom's in the Hall of Fame at Virginia Tech for women's basketball. And so that level of excellence as well. And I think we tried to express we need freshmen that want to come in. And grasp that opportunity and challenge and not wait for the next year. And so, I think collectively, with freshmen, sometimes there's going to be some inconsistency, especially when you ask somebody like, Ellie Richardson, Indiana point guard, probably the hardest critic of the 5 of them about herself. Mm-hmm. Coming in and playing the hardest position to play as a freshman is being a point guard. But that's where even when Kinde hasn't been able to be on the floor as she comes back from her injury, she's been great about being in her ear, as has Allie Hollifield, who even though she joins us, sat out last year with a torn ACL. She's back fully healthy. I think having those players in their ears have been really helpful. Grace has been that mentor mom to the post players, and then you have, the experience in Taj Hunter and Kinde Abasui being able to help those perimeter players who are coming in as freshmen.
You mentioned Allie Hollifield. Betsy Burnett comes in, experienced guard from Johnson C. Smith, a program down in the Charlotte area. And, of course, you mentioned Joyce joining us out of California Junior College. And then the elder statesman of your group comes in probably with the most experience, former Catamount from Vermont, also at Cal State Bakersfield, talking about Ari coming in. What do these upperclassmen bring in? Those are kind of, you got to fill the holes as you get them. And I think if you come in, you're able to plug them in immediately because they've got that experience. Now it's a matter of fitting them in with the system.
Well, I think Allie's been, to start with her, just, she was the first one out of the transfer portal that committed to us. And, you're probably not going to get another player who has a background in Western Carolina like the Hollifield family has. Obviously, from her grandfather playing football here to her cousin Drew, playing both football and basketball last year. She grew up coming to games, so she understood what it was to be a Catamount, and she's been a tremendous worker. She's an unbelievable three-point shooter. We've had her having to play some point just until we get Deuce back, but just how she approaches every practice, I think for a young person to watch, she's somebody, too, that won a state championship, how she goes about her business every day in practice. It's amazing for somebody who sat out last year. She just has this great drive of, I missed out on all this. I'm not going to miss out on anything on a daily basis. And then you have Betsy Burnett, who was able to score the ball really well at Johnson C. Smith. Very smooth player, shot over almost 40% from the three-point line. At Johnson C. Smith is able to create her own shot well. Joyce Malumbo that joined us late, was somebody, her stats are off the chart from the rebounding standpoint. in junior college, just started really playing basketball her senior year of high school. So there's a learning curve, but even in the scrimmage the other night, she had 14 rebounds. Yeah. And, she gets rebounds outside areas where there's a lot of things we can teach technique-wise. Sometimes to just be able to have somebody who can go and get it is tremendous. And as you mentioned, Ari Dyson is somebody we really expect to count on. Kind of a amazing geographical journey, to go from Tampa, Florida to Vermont out to California. And then, not a lot of times they say, hey, we want somebody to play closer to home. They're going to come here to Cullowhee, even though they're from Tampa. But she's been really, really good, I think, in one-on-one situations to help our younger players in the highs and lows. And, we expect her to be able to score in different ways, similar to how A.C. Carter did last year, but maybe a little bit different. She's able to score on the block. She's a good shooter, can step out. She's done a really good job, I think, of using her length. That's something that really stood out to us defensively at Cal State Bakersfield, is both the number of shots she blocked, and a lot of those were off the help side, as well as how many steals she had. She just does a really good job using her length.
Yeah, it looks at her size. It looks like the prototypical Southern Conference player that can have success at our level in terms of being able to score the basketball, but also on the defensive side of things. Before we talk about your schedule, Neil Andrews did want me to get this question in for you. You get to challenge this year, Coach. We're adding that into the game where you get to actually have coaches' challenges. It's not a matter of looking at the official and saying, hey, y'all want to look at that? Now you can officially say, hey, I want you to look at that. Your thoughts on that addition and being able to challenge things here in basketball now?
Yeah, I'm glad in the first year that they've kind of limited the total number of things that we can challenge. As the officials get used to it, for us, it's, from the official standpoint, we get a lot of officials who are, growing the game younger. And so, the one thing with the challenge system is it doesn't happen in the last 2 minutes. And that's probably when you see more challenges take place. But, and obviously the sacrifice is if you lose a challenge, you lose a timeout. So what you'll see on challenges on our side will be balls out of bounds on a discrepancy in that. If a ball goes in the back court, whether if it's touched or not, and initiates an over and back call, those are the two main ones. I still hope in those last 2 minutes we still can go ask them to go look at a block charge. That was even last year that we could be able to do that last couple of years. But again, like it's we're doing a job. We're not perfect. We want the officials to be perfect. But again, let's use technology to make our game better.
And I think some of the early seasons interactions between basketball and the boundary, between your close scrimmage, some of the interaction with some of the officials is always good. Having them here, working some of those events. But the teaching that they did, they called a foul on somebody, but you're able to go to them and say, all right, so exactly what did I do that was wrong? I was trailing a play. I didn't get in front of the player. That was just all the little things. I think I noticed from kind of outside perspective, I thought that was key, working with the officials. And again, Judy Stroud would definitely have me if I didn't say that how great of a job women's basketball officiating does in terms of trying to grow the game, but also working with our student athletes and with our coaches. They're not there to be the enemy. They're there to run the game and that sort of thing. So I know Judy would love to get that shout in there as well. But, Coach, one last thing before we let you go. Whoever does your scheduling, we're going to have to figure out if they either need less or more of a pay raise. I'm not sure. You have got one of the tougher schedules in terms of some of the teams you're going to play. Now, you get to be at home a couple of times here, but you've got on the road at Campbell after 2 home games against non-D1s, and then Oklahoma, nationally ranked, comes here. Talk about UVA, Virginia Lynchburg comes in here, and then you've got Tusculum coming in, but then you go to Campbell, probably your first true Division I test. All leading to Oklahoma. You got Oklahoma, you got Wake Forest, you got a trip to the Bahamas where you could see Temple, you could see Michigan State, Clemson. Are we vying to join another conference here? What's going on with this scheduling?
Well, we were really fortunate that last year that Oklahoma agreed to the home and home, and it's a tremendous. I have such respect for their program, obviously, their coaching staff, the players they've had. You're going to see one of the best teams in the country coming in here. And not only are you seeing that, it's the first time a Power 4 team's been in the Ramsey Center on the women's side in 21 years. And again, that experience for our players, the returners obviously got to see the Kids Day environment there. I think it is important that we're able to showcase and take our players to different places as well. In state, we're out the opportunity to go to Wake. If you've never been to the University of Indiana, it's a basketball mecca, and to have our, Coach Morin to be able to have our players go there. The Bahamas, I can't think, that was something we looked into. It happened kind of later. I appreciate Kyle Pfeiffer allowing us to do that. We didn't know the fourth opponent. I'll be honest. Temple is one of my former assistants from George Washington, and Diane Richardson has done a great job there in her first 3 years. So, trying to get the right balance of things. Last year I thought, we had such, we had 5 road games in a row. Then we had 3 road games in a row. And anytime you're building the schedule, I think for me, I want to try to get us as many different styles as possible that replicate what we're going to see in the Southern Conference. And, I think the hardest part of the schedule is always after Christmas. And, this is the last year we'll really have that big a gap that we'll have to fill in with non-conference games, with the addition of Tennessee Tech. That'll allow us to go up to 16 conference games. So, some great opportunity, see some great basketball in the Ramsey Center. It's to have that doubleheader weekend, or doubleheader with the men's game after a football game on Saturday, volleyball Saturday night. What more can you ask for to come and get everything for a weekend here at Western?
More staff is what we could ask for from that standpoint of having football, volleyball, but from a fan's perspective, it's the epitome. It's Christmas come early. Looking forward to that, Coach. Well, we'll let you get out of here, Coach. I know you guys have been getting after it, and always the girls are always in the gym. A pleasure to see each and every one of them. Conde's done a great job. She's actually done an apprenticeship with us this year in our media relations office, and she's been a dream. Wanting to see her on the floor more than on the sidelines, even though she's such a great asset on the sidelines as well. But again, we'll talk with you a lot more as we go forward. Looking forward to having ESPN Plus coverage of our home games. We'll have the next star game. Going to have that game. The Oklahoma game will be on television regionally, so that's going to be huge for the program to be able to showcase what we're able to do. And a tough opponent, but again, if you want to be the best, you got to play the best, and I think it makes you better. So, Coach, appreciate your time here tonight as we kind of, again, this is just a tip of the iceberg on this women's basketball team and this program. Looking forward to this season coming up here very soon.
Well, thanks so much for having me, and we look forward to seeing everybody in the Ramsey Center soon.
All right, Coach, we'll let him go. We'll get back and talk men's basketball. They open up on Wednesday, an exhibition in October. That's right, in October. We're going to have an exhibition coming up on Wednesday. Brevard comes across the mountain. Looking forward to seeing our men's team in action on Wednesday. We'll talk with Tim Kraft on the other side of this quick timeout as you're watching the Catamount Coaches Show here live from Catamount Jaxe.
So, you gonna play this week?
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 You gonna play this
You
week?
gonna play this week? You gonna play this week?
You gonna play this
You
week?
You gonna play this week?
And welcome to the Ingalls Game of the Week as the War Horses square off against our rival.
He's going in.
He's going in. Go, baby!
Ingalls. We're with you every step of the way.
Back live at Catamount Jaxe here on a Monday night, our doubleheader of football, basketball, really a triple header. Football, women's basketball, and now men's basketball action. Our Catamount Coaches Show that's following up our Catamount Football Weekly. Of course, Kerwin Bell across the way getting ready for Chattanooga this weekend, a 4 o'clock start over at the Scenic City at Finley Stadium. 3 o'clock airtime on the Catamount Sports Network. Hope you'll tune in if you don't make the trip over. Or if you do, just take your phone along. You can listen in on the internet from the stadium. Would love to have a good turnout. It's going to be homecoming for Chattanooga, so we want to take a good crowd over to Chattanooga this weekend for a big-time matchup against the Mocs. Again, a top 3 matchup in the Southern Conference, trying to keep pace with the Mercer Bears, who are 5-0. Catamount's 4-0 in conference play, moving into this weekend 3-1 for the Mocs. Appreciate Jonathan Tsipis stopping by, talk about some women's basketball. They've got a lot of new coming in this year, but a lot of potential. Looking forward to that. And maybe not as much new for Tim Kraft. We'll start with men's basketball here and kind of talk things through, but we'll start with you the same way we do with Coach Tsipis. It's got to feel good. Year 2, you got the family here. You know where things are. You're not GPS. Don't have to pull up GPS to get to everywhere you want to go now. But year 2, a little more new than what Coach Tsip had in terms of team. But how do you compare year 2 going in here after year 1?
Well, I think, first of all those things you just said, that's helpful. Just being settled and having your family here and knowing where everything is and who to go to for what and all those type of things, all that's helpful and helps you. But, for us, we have some continuity, with our staff, everybody back on our staff. Great staff. So it kind of starts with those guys, and they've done a great job recruiting, helping us retain some really good players from last year's team, and we're excited about Team 98 here.
Wow. We talk about some of the returning players, get a look at that cast of crew there, and again, you got the bulk of those 6 of the 8 that played some good minutes for you a year ago, 2 that were able to contribute in other ways, talking about Drew Hollyfield and, of course, Max Williams on the far right of your screen. But preseason all-conference, Marcus Kell and Cord Stansberry, it's sharpshooter. You got Chase McKee and Fisher Brown. And haven't seen a lot from Vernon Collins. He's coming off of an injury here. Didn't see him much this past week. And, of course, C.J. Highland running your point. But you got to feel good about the returning cast of characters. You really can divide your team almost right down the middle. New guys and returning guys, you divide it right down the middle, and you can go good on good either way you want to look at it.
Well, we just have a lot more experience. And, last year when you're taking over and you lost so many great seniors from Justin Gray's last team and so completely rebuilding the roster. And, last year's team, I've said this, we had one player that had started any Division I games, and he had only started 2, Bernard Pilote. And this year, through retention and bringing in some experienced transfers, we have 8 different players that have started Division I games, and it's like a combined 210-15 start. So it's our experience level has increased greatly.
How hard is it in the preseason these days, in the day and age we live in, to be able to come up with expectations across the league, people picking teams here and there, and you look at teams, do you look at the roster and say, all right, I recognize those 4 names from last year, so they're probably going to be pretty good? Is that how you have to do it right now? Because so many teams are so different from year to year now.
No, they really are. Yeah, they really are. I think we're one of the few teams that has a lot of guys back that played. And so, you look at who they brought in and that type of thing, but I don't really worry too much about the league. And, we're going to have plenty of time to scout when we get there. But you're right. There's a lot of new guys and new faces. And I know the coaches in the league have done a great job recruiting, so it'll be a battle every night out.
So we talked about the 8 returners. You've also got 8 newcomers. Let me make sure I get this right.
Yep.
A couple of grad transfers, a couple of sophomore transfers, and 4 true freshmen. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Coming in here. So, again, you look across the board here, and you've got some familiarity with a couple of these guys in terms of having seen them. Really number 3 there in white, the guy that you've known pretty long time now.
Yeah. Julian Samaro there, number 3, played for us 3 years at Gardner-Webb. When he was just a young guy coming up out of the Bronx, New York, and really turned into a good player for us at Gardner-Webb, was a multi-year double-figure scorer guy for us. And he eventually went to East Carolina, spent last year at East Carolina, and now we get him back here for his grad year. And, he provides some leadership, some real competitive grit, to our team, and he's elite at those things.
And you also got more size.
We do.
More size, and really the all-name team. We've got names this year that are not. There's no Joe Smith on this squad. Let's put it that way. But talk about some of your size. Let's talk about your post players.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. We do have some added size, rim protection. Elevating our ability to defend on the roster was a major focus for us in terms of recruiting. We were able to keep Vern Collins and bring him back, who brings some of that, and then add Abdoulaye Kaba, who's a 7-footer out of Sierra Leone. Played his freshman year at Denver, started as a freshman at Denver, led the Summit Conference in block percentage and rebound percentage. So he's a guy that's really an elite defender at the mid-major level. And then we also have a guy by the name of Samuel Dada, who's a freshman from Nigeria, who has also really been impressive. And you mentioned Vern's been out for a week and a half or so with a minor injury. Who hopefully we'll get him back soon. But it's been great for Samuel because he's gotten a lot more reps and he's really done well. So we've got 3 guys that have size and physicality to help you protect the rim there.
So your interior is Kaba, Dada, and Big Vern.
That's right.
Let's go with that. We're gonna.
That's right.
I got to make it easier. Gary
it.
Ayers, our Hall of
Kaba.
Famer, is going to be doing this pretty soon. I want to make sure he gets all this.
That's it right there.
Kaba, Dada, and Big Vern.
Vern.
All right, so you got Julian running your point. You got C.J. Highland running the point. You're able to move Marcus Kell now. Marcus may not have to play the 5 this year. I mean, he was arguably at times in that 4-5 position, but maybe you could move him around a little more.
Yeah, we're hoping to play him more as like a stretch 4. We're not planning on him playing much at that 5 position, maybe in a emergency or foul trouble situation. So it'd be nice for him not to have to bang on the big guys and get beat up down around the rim. That'll be a good thing, and Julian provides some experience there at the guard position. You got C.J. Highland, Talon Petway is a freshman who we added to our roster late in the summer.
Arguably won the 3-point shooting contest, right? That was
yeah.
Didn't bring it up with Coach Sip.
Yeah.
That was a point of contention.
It
That
was
such
a
a close.
Yeah.
That was such a close competition there at night.
Needed a review on that, but Talon Petway's a really talented player. He's a guy that's really had a nice preseason for us and really talented offensive player. So he provides us some depth at the point guard. Tijan Diamasi, who's recovering from an injury, but looking really good, and we'll be back to the court soon, I think.
So we've got, let's go through the Tijan type of names. You've got several guys that are similar. It's Tijan.
Yeah.
And let's see who else you got there. Help me out here. Tijan and you got of course, Talon.
We got a guy named Tishan.
Yeah.
DeRosa, who's from the DMV area, freshman.
A shooter.
Freshman, the really fast little point guard.
So just a little bit of confusion here. Like I said, this is the all-name team.
It confuses me. I'll call it Tishan, Talon.
Thank God they wear numbers.
That's right. That's right.
You're looking at Cord Stansberry. We saw a couple of shots of him. I know he missed some time here early on. What are you looking for with Cord and what he's looking to do to try to make that next step here this year?
Well, he's worked really hard to put himself in a position to be ready to make the next step. And to me, the next step for him is like an all-league type guy. And he's looked like that in the preseason. He shot the ball at extremely high level. He's put on some muscle mass, so he's a more physical guy. Has the ability to finish around a basket, and which is great for him to get to the basket and be able to get to the foul line. He's one of the best free throw shooters in the country last year. So trying to find ways for him to get to the foul line more often. He's worked really, really hard. He's had a great off season, and we're excited to see him play here as the year starts.
How has this melding process been? We mentioned 8 new guys, 8 returners. Again, having the summer, Coach Jonathan Tsipis mentioned having the summer was huge for some of his young players. Had to be similar, I would imagine, some of the similar type of feel, having all those guys here during the summertime.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, it's been great. Like you said, 8 of the guys knew each other, and so they're pretty close. And the 8 guys we brought back are close, and then we brought 8 guys in, and they're all good kids. They're all great young men. So the summer was a great process, kind of getting to know, build some chemistry, do some fun things as we learn our system and learn more about one another. And the guys have really improved. The guys that came in the summer have really gotten better. Justin Johnson is a guy that's really improved from the time he got to campus in the summer, transfer out of Arkansas State, to now, where it's like, he just grows by leaps and bounds every time out. So a lot of these new players improving rapidly, and guys getting to know each other, and it's been a good process.
Yeah, I know we failed to mention Justin there a minute ago, but he was one of those guys that was really impressive in basketball on the boundary, a guy that you could see the ball in his hands and able to make for himself and distribute.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that can be in there for 15 minutes and all of a sudden get 11 points.
Yep.
He is. So he's been a good addition to the team, and again, is improving in all the areas he needs to improve in to become a guy that can make winning plays consistently.
Joked with Coach Tsipis a moment ago here on our Catamount Coaches Show presented by Stanberry Insurance here at Catamount Jaxe. I joked with him and said, pretty soon we're going to go from, hey, happy Labor Day, to happy basketball season.
Right.
It's like right there together. You guys are going to play here this week. It's still October.
Yeah.
We haven't flipped the calendar yet, but October 29th, an exhibition here at the Ramsey Center, Ingalls Court. Looking forward to that. Brevard coming in. Again, a free event coming up. Looking forward to being in action for the first time and the real uniforms ready to go.
Yeah.
What are you looking at of that? What are you hoping to gain out of that matchup coming up with a local team, Brevard coming across the mountain, a team that's usually pretty doggone good?
Yeah, that's right. And first of all, just an opportunity to play in a game atmosphere, game environment. We want to invite Catamount Nation, come see this new team play, and you're going to love what you see. But it's also a challenge for our team. Brevard offensively really executes. They run the Princeton offense. We scheduled them for a reason, because they execute this Princeton offense at a high level, and we have teams like Chattanooga and Furman who play very similar style. Sanford now with Lenny Acuff in the league, who play a very similar style. So it allows us to kind of have 2 days of preparation to work on defending a system that we're going to see in the league multiple times. So it'll be a challenge for our guys to be disciplined, to do all these, the detailed things that it takes to make them take some tough shots. And, we want to just get out there and get some experience playing in front of our fans, and, continue to build and continue this process of trying to improve.
Old Larry Hunter style of Princeton-style offense that he brought, that evolved during his tenure over 14-plus years here in Cullowhee. But then, Coach, then again, I don't know, like I mentioned with Coach Tsipis, I don't know who makes your schedule, but I don't know if they deserve
Coach
a raise.
Gray.
Do they deserve a raise, or do they deserve not to be here anymore? But you come out of the gates pretty tough. Perennial power, Cincinnati on the road, up in the Queen City. Then you go to Durham to take on the Crazies, the Cameron Crazies, and the Duke Blue Devils. Before you get to come back home, and pretty good run there. You talk about Voorhees, Stetson, and UNC Asheville all in November. Part of the again the ASUN SoCon scheduling alliance with Stetson and Lipscomb there, and a nice trip down to High Point. A good chance for our Catamounts fans in the Piedmont Triad to come out and see that. So a pretty good schedule, even though it jumps out of there. You talk about Cincinnati, Duke, Virginia Tech, Georgia, all those high major type programs. But again, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. You want to try to iron sharpens iron. The old adage is. So I guess you want to go see where you are deficient and see where you might be able to make some moves here in the early part of the season.
Yeah, our players want to play against the best players in the country, and they want to play in the best environments in the country. It gives our fans a chance to get excited about us playing in some of these venues, and quite honestly, bring exposure and name recognition, and hopefully elevate the brand of Western Carolina, because we are playing this type of schedule. And it is hard. It's not easy, and you gotta get the confidence going and try to build that. But it's what all the players want to do, and I think our fans want to see that as well. So, I just think early in the year you have an opportunity to really, build your competitive grit, right? Your relentless mentality that, hey, when things go wrong, how are you going to respond?
Right.
So, with our preseason schedule, we want to try to put our players in a position where there's going to be adversity, and how are we going to handle it? And so, that helps us to get together and bond and figure that out early on.
Kind of the old baptism by fire, and it all starts on Wednesday.
It does.
Against Brevard, an opportunity in exhibition play inside the Ramsey Center. Opens up a busy week of Catamount athletics, even with football on the road over at Chattanooga. Got a busy week here. Would be remiss if we didn't talk about all of this going on. Southern Conference Soccer Championship. The quarterfinals and the semifinals will be played here in Cullowhee. We're the second seed. Get a good look at that. How about Chase McKee?
There we go.
And that Brevard matchup coming up. And then, of course, two of the top seniors on that women's squad. You talk about Isabella DeMarco and Mila Siska, two of the ones that are going to lead this squad. Friday quarterfinals. 2 matches will take place. Catamounts will play the winner of the UNCG VMI match at 7 o'clock under the lights on Friday night over at the Catamount Athletic Complex. We'll host, I think, ETSU Mercer, I think, has the match in front of that here this weekend. And then, of course, the winner on Friday will advance on to Sunday afternoon's match in the semifinals. The highest remaining seed, Catamounts will be seeded number 2. The only team higher was the number 1 Sanford Bulldogs. Try to get the win, get into that championship match, and hope that Sanford loses and we get to host again. That's what we're hoping for the following weekend to add to another busy weekend in Catamount country. But either way you slice it, it all gets underway. Chase McKee says, come on out and check us out, Brevard, as the Catamounts take on Brevard on Wednesday night. 7 o'clock, free admission. Looking forward to that. And, of course, soccer. Wish Chad Miller and the soccer team the best of luck again. A runner-up finish in the regular season. A very tough schedule. Come up just, 9 wins on the year. An opportunity to try to build on that in the conference tournament. Quarterfinals in Cullowhee, $10 admission, about $11.80 or something when you add in the Southern Conference fee for credit cards. But looking forward to having that here. And, of course, students, you get in free over the Catamount Athletic Complex on Friday and Sunday. And, of course, Chattanooga on Saturday. 4 o'clock kickoff as the Catamounts take on the Mocs over at Finley Stadium in the Scenic City. 3 o'clock airtime on the Catamount Sports Network. But I tell you what, this guy right here is going to raise the curtain on it coming up on Wednesday night. Coach, one more time, look right into that camera there and tell the folks.
Wednesday night, be there. Be there Wednesday night. Let's get all Catamount Nation out, support this team. You're going to love what you see and what we've done with the roster. But even more important than that, get to the soccer stadium on Friday night. Quarterfinals. Let's support these ladies and Coach Miller and what a great season they've had and in their run for another Southern Conference championship.
Have an opportunity. You guys will leave. You play your first regular season game is Monday. Is that right?
That's right.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
So again, it just continues right on.
Cincinnati
so you guys will leave
Monday.
Leave Sunday to head
Sunday night. We head up. Leave Sunday night. Practice kind of on the way up there and. It's here. Get it rolling.
I can't believe it. It's not
exciting.
not even November yet. We're already talking basketball. But you know what? It's not a better time of year to be able to talk about football and basketball and soccer. Again, for an athletic department employee, it's a hectic time, but that's what we live. That's what we make the big bucks for. That's what we're here for. Looking forward to it. Coach, appreciate your time here on our Catamount Coaches Show. Wish you the best of luck this year, and we'll see you on Wednesday night over in the Ramsey Center. That game will have audio, won't have coverage for video, but we'll have audio coverage on the Catamount Sports Network, 6:30 airtime, 7 o'clock tip, Western Carolina and Brevard. Online at catamountsports.com for the online audio. But again, bring this along with you. Just listen here, but make sure you're there. Free admission. Look forward to seeing everybody in the Ramsey Center Wednesday night at 7 o'clock against Brevard. Coach, appreciate your time. Wish you the best of luck this year.
Appreciate it, Hook. Go Cats.
That's Western Carolina head men's basketball coach Tim Kraft. For Coach Kraft, for Coach Tsipis, and Coach Bell, who is probably knee-deep in practice right now across the way, getting ready for Chattanooga. Daniel Hooker and our entire crew saying so long for now. We'll catch you back here next week at Catamount Jaxe, Catamount Football Weekly, Catamount Coaches Show, both presented by Stanberry Insurance.